What's up? I hate a long YouTube intro, so I'm going to make this really short. Just because, in case this is the first time visiting my channel, this super cool Scottish girl that's about to teach this lesson is not Karen Campbell, but she is my best friend in the whole wide world, Lucy Brydon. She's coming to you from Scotland today. And I'm actually, as I film this, I'm actually about to hop on a plane to Scotland to go see Lucy in the flesh. She's an amazing, amazing teacher. I'm so thrilled to have her on today. So I hope you enjoy your fairy face drawing from Lucy. We actually run a monthly art club together where all we do is teach people how to do watercolors and drawings and artwork and gouache and watercolors to people who love everything in the fantasy genre. I'll leave information about that in the description box below, but enjoy your fourth fairy in the 50 Fun Fab Fairies series with Lucy Brydon. Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm the other half of the Celtic Collective along with Karen, and this is my little fairy offering into this series of fairies. I hope you enjoy it. We are going to use just one pencil. It's a Colo Erase pencil. It's a purple one. It's a colored pencil that you can erase. If you don't have that, you can just use a regular colored pencil. And we are using as a reference the Celtic Collection book. I talk a little bit more about this in the video and I flick through and let you see it. But this is a fab reference book that Karen and I made, full of fairy fantasy references. And we are using one of the pictures in this book, this little girl here, as our reference. We're going to do a profile face, and she's also a child, so her proportions are slightly different. And we are doing her in the purple, so she looks a little bit different. I changed her up a little bit, so she's a little bit more fairy. I gave her fairy ears, so you can do my one, and then you can have a think about how you're going to change it to make it your own. So you could change the mediums, you could change her features, you could change her, what she's got on her hair or her head. Lots of different options. So I hope that you enjoy it and enjoy the video. We are going to use a photo reference that is in the Celtic Collection book. This is the book that Karen and I made up for our students. That you've got access to this if you are a member of the Celtic Collective. So it is full of really cool references for all different kinds of things for fantasy and fairy art. There's like loads, crystals, flowers, forests, all kinds of things, animals and so on. And then again, lots and lots of photo references of people that you can use, turn them into fairy creatures, use them for poses, for facial expressions, for crowns, all different things. So I am going to do this little girl here. Children have slightly different proportions of a face than an adult, and also this is a profile one, so we're going to extend her a little bit, maybe give her fairy ears. And then for your one, you could like change, you're supposed to change 4 things, is it? So you could do like change her ear shape, you could change what she's got on her head, you could give her wings, you could change the medium that you use. There's loads of different options. We are going to use a Colo Erase pencil. It is super cool because it is purple, but you can also erase it. So you can erase these pencils in the way that normal colored pencils won't erase. So we're going to use that. So you'll just need a pencil. You don't have to have the Colo Erase. You can just have a regular colored pencil and an eraser and some paper. I've got a nice big sketchbook here. First though, I'm just going to look at the proportions. So I've just got a bit of tracing paper, and I'm going to start off by drawing 2 shapes. These are the shapes that I use to sketch out how I'm going to do a profile. So there are loads of different ways of planning out a face. I do a circle and then a triangle. So it's like a circle, a triangle, and then the nose and the mouth are coming out from that. And then from that you can see that the eyes are across where the sort of circle and the triangle meet. The nose is where the bottom of my circle is, and then the mouth is again kind of halfway. Now for children's faces, everything seems to be a little bit bigger inside the shape of the face than an adult, and also I think there's the positioning of the eyes. So generally speaking, children's faces are slightly different proportions than adults' faces. The eyes are larger in the face, the features are smaller, like the nose and stuff are smaller, and they're a little bit further down, so they've got a larger forehead, and the eyes are larger but further down. This girl is a little bit older, so hers aren't quite so pronounced, but we can do that. We can exaggerate it a little bit. It's going to make her more fairy-like, less realistic if you want. So let's start off. I'm going to do her fairly big. I'm going to do quite a lot of sketching and not necessarily erase. I quite like having the guidelines showing a little bit in these kinds of sketches. So I'm using this one. So if you've got a piece of tracing paper and you did this, look, you can have this next to you so that you can see what you're doing as you're doing it. So it's too small for my drawing, but I can kind of use it as a reference. So I'm going to draw my circle and then draw my triangle. And I'm not going to try and make her exactly like the photo, but I'm just using that as a starting point. Now, this line across here is about here, and the next one down where her nose was about here, and then her mouth was about here. So I've drawn all my guidelines now, and now I'm going to start just sketching in very lightly and roughly where all the features are. So because I've got a colour erase, I can erase these lines, look, if I don't want them. But also I don't mind if they're in there a little bit, just kind of lends itself to the charmingness of the sketch. Right, so for a profile, the eye looks a little bit like a triangle pie. So I'm going to do like a cheese triangle. Do you get cheese triangles in the United States? So I'm going to draw my triangle shape. I'm not going to do any more detail to it at the moment because I want to make sure I've got everything in the correct place. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve in and out of this shape to get the nose. So my bottom of my nose hits this line here, but it comes out a little bit. So I'm going to make it a little bit quirky and upturned. And that's all I'm drawing on the nose right now because I want to be able to change it if I don't like it. And again, the mouth comes out a little bit. And then this is where the mouth is, the bottom of the mouth. So I maybe need to make this a little bit lower. And then this comes like almost like a in and an out, like a V shape. And then this goes in and out for the chin, like that. Now there is a little bit of an eye over here, just a little bit. It's a bit of a funny angle. Can look a little bit awkward trying to draw that, because it can look a bit funny. So if you're not sure about that, you can always leave that out. And then I'm going to do her forehead coming up. And now I can kind of change and erase and refine if I want. I'm going to draw where her chin is. We can make her a little bit more pixie-like, so she doesn't have an ear in the photograph, so I'm going to give her one. I'm just going to draw it really lightly just now until I'm happy with where it's gone. Okay, so let's start to put in some of the details. I'm going to work on this eye now. She's looking up the way, so she's got her iris at the edge, like that. It's right at the edge of the eye. Excuse my dog making dog noises in the background. He thought he was getting a walk, but now he has to wait until I'm finished filming. So I'm starting to look a little bit closer at the photo. There's the eyelid. And then this kind of curves around a little bit. It's a wee bit hard to see, but we're going to be darkening up where her eyelashes are in a minute, so we don't need to worry too much about that. She's got quite high cheekbones. I'm going to do a very light little bit of a shading, so I'm just going backwards and forwards, and this was a bit too much, so I'm just erasing a little bit of that out. So I've done this a lot further over than it is in real life. This is making her a little bit more fairy-like. You could also change the way that her eyebrows, make them a little bit more expressive. Right, now this eye you can't really see, so if you can't see it, don't put it in. I'm just going to do a bit of shading just to make it a little bit of a dark shadow. That's all we really see there. And I'm making the nose cute and quirky because she's a fairy, so I'm just changing it just a little bit. So here is the nostril. I needed to make the nostril just a wee bit further in. And now, you can put in a wee bit of shading if you want. So I usually do a little bit kind of around here. And I'm going to just erase that line here. You can erase some of these guidelines if you want. So if you're happy with where things are going, you can erase some of the guidelines. So the way that I draw these faces is that I draw the guidelines and then I draw very light lines for where things are going. And then as I get happier and happier, my lines get a little bit more bold. And then as they get bolder, I can put in more and more detail. So we've got the top lip. It's quite thin. It's shaped down and then up like that. So it's not a straight line. And again, I'm going to just put a little bit of shading in. So the way that I'm doing the shading is I'm just going backwards and forwards with my pencil, but lightly, and then you can build that up. So I can do a little bit more, build it up and make it a little bit darker. So I start off light, and then I get darker. And erase what I don't want. Looking at the angles around the face. And because we did those guidelines, okay, it might not be perfect, but it's pretty good for where things are. Because we did the guidelines and we know that we put things in the correct place. So I'm just going to draw in her neck. And now we've done most of what we saw. I know she doesn't look like a photo, but you know, doesn't matter. We can put in just a wee bit more around the eye. I just erased away a little bit of a shine there to give her a little bit of a shine in her eye, which always helps with the expression and making somebody look more alive. A wee bit of shading, even in the whites of the eyes, even though they're white, they still have some shading. I'm going to put in some eyelashes. Curve them round. And I'm using like a flicky motion to get that nice sharp edge. And you can exaggerate them if you want. Right, now we're going to make her more fairy using our imaginations. So we've done the sketch from the book, and now we're going to take it off into our own direction. So I'm going to give her fairy ears. I never know what fairy ears look like. So I'm just going to do a wee bit of shading in them. There we go. You might want to get a reference to look at for fairy ears. So elsewhere in the Celtic Collection book, there are lots of references for fairy ears. Look, there's lots of them here that you can take and you can draw from. So you can mix and match from this book as well. You can use references from one part of the book and then match them to another part, make a completely new picture for yourself. It's a super good way of getting like original art. So I'm just looking at this one here and I'm just doing a little bit of shading just to indicate this ear. So I'm just again doing that little sort of scrubbing motion backwards and forwards, and the darker you want it, the more you press down, and if you want it light, you just press down super gently. And it works really nicely with these colour erase pencils. Now, you can do what you want for the hair. I'm actually coming back to this photo because I want to do the little leaves in her hair. And then you can do something similar if you want, or you can change. That could be the thing that you could change. You could put like a different sort of hair dress. So I'm just doing some rough leaves and some little flowers. Now I'm doing quite a quick video, so I'm not putting a huge amount of detail in this. You could always do more. And you could put shading into this. I'm just doing like the outline of the leaves, but you could really put in a load of detail. And then I'm going to do her hair kind of coming down. And I'm just going to do an indication of her hair. So I'm doing a little bit of shading and some lines as well. The lines are showing the direction of the hair, and the shading is just giving me a little bit of like extra depth. You could even do like different coloured pencils. If you've got, I've only got this one colour erase, I don't have any other colours. But if you've got other colours, it would look super pretty to do this with different colours. So think about the things that you could change to change this up. And you see how it's just a wee suggestion of hair? I'm just doing a wee bit of shading and a wee bit of line. I'm being quite quick and rough, just for time's sake. I'll probably put a wee bit more effort in there than me. Just put a few little strands across here. It looks super cute. Hair is not my strong suit. Something that I need to practice. You could put a few strands coming over her ear as well. I think we're just about done with this fairy. Can't wait to see what you do and how you're going to change yours and make it your own.